kid is your fault. Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but your child acts just like you.
Got your attitude, your mouth, your sass. Can't find their shoes, but found my last nerve fast. Rolls their eyes, thinks they run the place, then tells me calm down with your exact face. They're loud, they're wild, they think rules are suggestions, and somehow I'm the one getting questioned. We pray for kids, God said okay, bet. Now we're raising tiny versions of our biggest regrets.
Honey, I don't know how to tell you this.
That child is 50% you and 100% your problem.
Don't blame me. I tried to warn you about your genetics. Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but your child acts just like you.
So I have to say that is my favorite jingle. The one that we made for this episode. It is probably just, it's so upbeat and so funny. And I love the part where it says the child's 50% me, but 100% your problem. It's probably my favorite part of the whole jingle. When I was writing it, I was trying to like figure out like something funny, and I just like was like, you need to deal with your kid, because like it happens a lot, right? Like you're like, it's the kids being bad, like you need to go deal with your child. Like all of a sudden it's like 50% mine, but 100% my problem. Like how often do you say that to me?
Yeah, now I'm like, our kids need a man's voice because they're not going to listen to my voice. So
Mhm.
go deal with it.
So if you haven't figured it out by the awesome music, this is Honey, I Don't Know How to Tell You This. And we're talking about how our kids are just like us. And we're talking about raising kids in today's world. We're going to talk about like struggles, the different issues that we've experienced through different ages, different periods. Got a daughter who's in college. Got my one daughter's in college, and we got a whole bunch
starting
and
pre-K.
preschool.
Yeah.
We're gonna get ready to start preschool.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of experience on both spectrums, right? On both sides. But children are constantly watching. They're constantly listening. They're constantly learning from us, and they imitate far more than they obey. And you have to ask, right? Have you ever looked at your child and thought, where did they learn that? Brian, the other day, and I was wondering if I could have forgiveness in this, but it's such a funny story that I have to bring it up. And my mom, who watches this, is probably going to be shaking her head right now. But my mom watches our kids on Mondays for us because I work, she works. So Mondays are very hard for us. So my mom comes out, and I just woke up because I work midnights, just woke up, was coming downstairs, and my son goes, known as an ASS. And I'm like, what? Like, when your kid says something and you're like, oh yeah, I definitely misheard. Like he definitely did not just say what he said. And then my mom's like, he didn't learn that from me. She's like so defensive in the moment. You came downstairs right then too, didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit after.
Yeah. And
we know Nona did not say that.
and well, yeah,
Say bad
she would never say a bad word. And he looks at her again and goes, known as an ASS. And I'm like, Brian, you don't say that word. He thought it was, I don't know where he heard it in that time period. Maybe my mom was mad or something. I know. My mom would never, ever curse. Like she's like the like I don't think I've ever heard my mom curse in my entire life. But it was just so funny. And I'm like, where the heck? I was sleeping, you were sleeping. Where in the world did he learn that from in that period when my mom was even watching? We know my mom doesn't say anything unless, I don't know, my mom's in the closet cursor.
Oh no.
No, she's not. She's not. And I know she's watching. That's why I think it's so funny to make fun of her right now. But I don't know where he got that from. And like so many times, we let our kids sometimes watch YouTube, not Facebook, YouTube. Like they watch that,
yeah.
what's that guy? Oh, Unspeakable. My son, you obviously know if you watched our previous episodes, he loves Up. Well, they this YouTuber Unspeakable did an Up house where he tied balloons to a house and actually it was like a little house but made it fly, right?
And the playhouse, yeah. So he got obsessed with Unspeakable because of the Up house.
And he loves it. And one of the things the guy says in there is, what the flip? What the flip? What the flip? And it, now my son walks around all the time. And he's at church the other day. And this poor Sunday school teacher, she's like, Brian, because he's over going, what the flip? What the flip? What's the other thing he says with it all the time? He says that? Bruh. What the flip, bruh?
But he
What the
learned
flip,
bruh from his older brothers.
Yeah, he got that from his brothers. What the flip, bruh?
So he combined all of it together. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's what's that word I put in the song? I put the one word in the song that's annoys me so much. Can't think of what it was I put in there. I had actually asked I always forget it. I had asked my son what that word is they use all the time. It's in the song, but it's a word that kids are using now. But like, it's so crazy how kids imitate everything they see. And it's funny because typically we try to blame the other spouse when they do something that we like. It wasn't me; it was them. It was, They didn't learn that from me. They learned that from you. Like, there's no way I did that.
Yeah.
And how often is it that we're the one that did it, and we're actually seeing ourselves as a reflection of our children?
Oh, there's plenty of times that Olivia does things, and I'm like, that is me. I can't even get mad at her for that. Like, that is my actions.
Yeah, like think about like all the facial expressions, like the facial expression, the eye rolls, the way they laugh, right? The
Yeah.
catchphrases, which we talked about. Not yet, but dad jokes. And I'd say, Brian, hopefully I have some good dad jokes.
And I like, and even us, how we emulate our parents in many different ways, good ways and bad ways. I remember one of the first times we were dating, Brian, and I went out with Brian's family, and it was like Brian's dad and Brian was in competition with dad jokes, but his dad didn't even know about it. Brian was just, it was like you had to be the better joke teller. So every time your dad said a joke, you whispered another joke that you thought was better to me, and you're like, I have better jokes.
Well, I just got to remind my dad constantly that I'm funnier than he is. So that's all it is.
I was like, oh,
got to keep him in
man.
his place. Got to keep him in his place.
I was like, that is, and I was like, you and your dad don't have a rivalry going on, but it certainly was I'm a funnier man in the big. It was like the Wild Wild West. There's only room for one of us.
Well, and it's funny because your dad is obsessive with things, and you are obsessive with things. Like today, your dad. So if people don't know, her dad's in a rehab getting some PT right now, and he wanted to bring his shoes home, and he is so obsessed about getting these shoes home. And my wife is the same way. Like, she needs something done, she will obsessively tell you about it, or obsessively bring it up over and over again. And she's like, I don't know why my dad has to be so obsessive with this. I'm like, and it was so funny. Of like, literally like 30 minutes ago, I was like, and that's what we're talking about today. We're literally talking about how much we're like our parents and don't even realize it.
Well, when I get obsessed over things, it's typically not like simple things. Usually, I usually don't obsess over simple things. Maybe I ever obsess over like dramatics. Maybe, I don't know, but not like my shoes getting picked up from a place that I'm going to expect it to be at for another week.
Yeah, yep.
Like, they're not going anywhere, so just let them hang out.
And it's crazy to think like genetically, like, you never would think, if you don't have kids yet, you're gonna, when you do have kids, one of the things you're gonna realize is certain habits, like sleeping habits, right? My son, so my grandpa, me, I don't know, I think my dad does it. My dad does it. I think we all do it. We all sleep, and I wonder if my great grandpa did it. Who knows? Like, where did this start genetically? But we sleep with our hands back, our fingers interlaced, with our hands behind our head, and we sleep that way. And my son, who was a newborn baby, like 2 days old, is doing this. And there's no way he physically, because I don't sleep with the newborn baby because, like, I bet I roll over or something. He didn't see me do this. He's been doing it. He still does it today.
Yeah.
Genetically, how your kids will mimic you in ways.
And Caden sleeps with the way that my legs sleep. Like, we sleep with similar leg posture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I made fun of her all the time for, like, who sleeps like this? Maybe people out there, maybe you can relate to this and you're one of those weirdos. So she sleeps with her leg, like, folded, like, up in the air. So, like, her knees, like, her leg is up straight in the air. Her the back of her foot's up to her butt, so her knees straight up in the air, and her leg is crossed. Her leg is crossed up in the air, and Caden sleeps this way too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who? Like, there's got to be some form of psychosis. Like,
no, it's very comfortable. First of all, it's not my leg straight up, so I don't have my ankle up in the air when I'm sleeping.
No, not leg. No. I said the back of your foot is to your butt. And your knee is straight up in the air, so you're like, and then your other leg is crossed over your knee.
Can't even imagine the way that you're describing it.
That's yes, it's so hard to describe because who normally would ever sleep like this ever? Nobody. Like, she always complains she's tired. I'm like, yeah, it's because you spend most of your night burning energy with your leg up in the air. So I don't know what's wrong with people. Like, crazy people with their legs up in the air sleeping.
It's not up in the air.
Pretty much.
My
But
goodness.
it's so funny. Like I remember the first time I saw her sleeping like that, I was like, "Are you okay? Like, why are you sleep like that?" Like, it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. But I guess we all have weird habits. Hers is just the weirder than mine.
No, not all of them.
Yeah, not all. Some of them, though. Some of them. But so what's the other things that's funny? The looks they give us, right? Like sometimes when my daughter, especially my daughter, not my son as much, my daughter will give me these looks, and I'm like, no, you are not your mother. I can yell at you. Like, I will not put up with that. You will not give me that attitude. No way. It's crazy.
And she's she understands sarcasm a little bit more than Brian does. So like when I get frustrated or I get mad, I'm okay with like a lot of people have a hard time with when they get mad, somebody telling them to calm down. I don't get that mad because I can acknowledge when I am being extra and you say to me, what are you doing? Why are you acting like that? And it usually does de-escalate me because I'm like, I don't know. And I think Olivia's that way too. When she's acting crazy, I look at her and I'm like, girl, what is your problem? And then she'll look at me, she'll instantly start laughing. And I'm like, oh, that is me. Because then she realizes how ridiculous she's being. And I have that tendency too, that like when I'm getting worked up or I'm getting, I stop and I think about it. Like in that moment, I'm like, am I being ridiculous? And for a while there, you were like, you would ask me, where's your faith at? And I would be like, I don't know, good question. Or like, I don't know, just with things generally in life, like even talking today, how um, I worry about germs and sickness and injury and things of that source and cadence allergies. And I build up these ideas in my head that are way worse than what they are. And, you level me back down. More when Olivia does that and I look at her, I can tell that she's a thinker too, because then she'll stop and she'll laugh. And I'm like, oh, she's processing like mom does.
And Caden had his big boy moment yesterday. So we struggle with bats in this area. We have a lot of bats, and we have this little stupid. The kids wanted this stupid little pool that it's like a little kiddie pool, but it has like a sprinkler attached to it. So they were like, "Go in the pool with the sprinkler." So like we got it for them, and they go out back, and it's just sitting on the deck. It's a little tiny thing that shoots water up in the air. And the older boys, were out there playing in it yesterday, and the bats were pooping all over our deck, and she's freaking out. She's like, "Oh my gosh, they have rabies and they have this and they're gonna die and their feet are gonna fall
that was
off."
silly because babies don't survive and poop
but
for very long.
yeah,
but I was thinking about like other like bacteria and like germs that they could get from the bat droppings and
yeah. But Caden's like, Mom, it's fine, whatever. Like comes in. Like,
but he needed you to tell him that because if you didn't like level me out and level him back out, I probably would suck him into my into that.
He'd be terrified to go outside.
Yeah. Into that terror with me. So I do have to be careful, and we do have to be careful as parents. Like they watch us, and we have to be so careful as being parents at how we react to things. Because if my parent is making a big deal about it, then it's going to be scary. Then it must be like something scary going on, or it must be something traumatic going on. Caden's old enough now, and he's had enough experience with you telling him, you're okay, Caden, your mom's just being a little hyper about her ideas and thoughts, that now he can look at me and be like, it's okay, Mom, it's not that big of a deal. He's like, and worst case scenario, I get sick, but I'll survive. Like, it's not like deadly. And my brain instantly goes to like fear, like because I'm overly protective, and I go to that 1%, but I think that's like my nursing brain, and I don't want my kids to suffer any kind of severe trauma. But yeah,
and especially like everybody needs that role model in their life. Mine was my buddy Jay. When I was a kid, I still remember we were over his house, and I was like 16, and we came up with this genius idea to dig a hole in the middle of the woods and let water fill it up and then use it as a pool. Now, he has a swimming pool, like a big swimming pool. And it was, Noah, if you're watching this, you know exactly where this hole is I'm talking about. On the left side trail, about 3/4 of the way back. It's made, what was it, 6-8 foot deep. It used to be frogs in there and turtles in there. And like, I'll tell you one thing. If it wasn't for the mimicking, you talk about mimicking, Jay, the stuff me and him did, like, I'm happy that he was brought into my life, because if it wasn't for him, I think I would not be the man I am, the toughness I have now. Because, You know, my mom was such a coddler. She coddled us so much. Don't go outside. Don't get dirty. So child abuse memory, right? So we would go outside and we would come back to the house. My mom did not want her house dirty. So my mom would make us stand outside and get down to our underwear, and she would shoot us with the hose outside before we come inside. So thankfully, I'm not mimicking that part of my mom. You got
would be
that part.
100% okay with that.
See? And I'm like, yesterday they come in from the whole, bats, and I told them it's okay if you step in bats, you just get Batman's powers. And once you get the $1 billion, you gotta let me know, you can help us out. But they're like, they went into their bedroom, and she's like, "Did you go in your bed? Did you go here? Did you go there?" And like said, and then Caden's like, "Whatever, mom, it ain't that big of a deal." Like, it's just such a proud dad moment.
No, I don't like I could probably hold a snake or anything with scales, and I don't like frogs.
Right, like your brother.
Yeah, like how you brought. So we were swimming in my brother's pool, and there was a toad,
Big toad.
and it was big. Yeah, and the things are very fast. They're fast and they're scary, and I don't like slimy
Yeah,
things,
it's a toad.
slugs, worms,
I know you love
frogs.
slugs,
Oh,
especially if you eat them.
anything that has slime, that's terrible. So my brother brought the frog over to show my kids, and I thought he was going to put the frog on me or let the frog throw it at me or something. This is trust issues that I have with him from when we were younger. He's my twin brother, and he tortured me when we were younger. But he was like, I screamed, and it was pure reaction. I didn't even know I screamed until I was done screaming, and then I realized his wife was laughing at me. And she was like, I was very impressed that you didn't let go of your kid's hand, no matter how terrified you were. And I was like, no, I was like, I am I'm a protector. I'm a natural protector. And I think that's why I screamed. And while I get so hyper thought, because I just want to keep everybody safe. And
yeah, you didn't just scream. You blood curdled. It's like I still don't understand how state troopers didn't show up.
Yeah.
I
really thought
if I was the
put it on
neighbor,
me.
I thought somebody was being murdered.
My brother goes, I did not know that you were that afraid of frogs. And he was like, I just wanted to show your kid the frogs. So now Brian starts chasing the frogs, screaming in the way that I was screaming. So he's a little bit of a boy, a little bit of mom.
But he was trying to catch it.
But he was trying to catch it.
And then I took him and we caught the toad again, and I let him pet it. So then he was petting the toad, which I'm really and he was freaking out at the same time. So, but that brings us to the next thought, right? Children naturally reflect the people they spend the most time with. And you could watch that in that moment, right? Brian literally was petting the frog while screaming bloody murder.
He had a little bit of mom and dad both.
Because he was reflecting both of us, right? And kids repeat everything you say. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, you don't realize it. When you and your wife have a fight, mm-hmm. when you and you come home and you talk about work and you're frustrated, or you come from church and that person at church ticked you off, and you're like, and you mention that at church, this guy's a jerk, or this guy that, or this guy. I
never thought about anybody bad at church like that.
Well, but it does happen.
Yeah, I guess it does happen.
Yeah, and it's gonna happen. You haven't experienced that yet. Trust me, you will. There will be somebody at church who will eventually tick you off or do something wrong that will. We're all humans, right? Somebody's gonna offend you, but you can't be angry at your brother or your sister, right? You don't want to show anger towards them, but you can be upset. People upset people all the time. But how we reflect that and how our kids see us respond to that, it's everything you say, everything you do, the way you react, the way you argue, the way you apologize, and the way you laugh. Your kids will reflect that in you. Mm-hmm. And you have to be careful, because when me and her fight, and just, hey, we fight, it happens. We fight. I remember one time, this is a couple years ago, we were fighting. We were arguing about something. Like I said, most of the time our fights are so dumb we can't remember what they're about. But we were yelling at each other. And Brian was like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, he started mimicking you. He stood behind you.
He started mimicking me. And I'm like,
even really talk yet.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't want my son to
that?
talk to his wife this way. And I was like, is this the man that I want my son to be?
Yeah.
Is this the role? Is this what I'm
They'll
showing
put you in
him?
place. They'll humble you for sure, and they'll put you in your place.
Yep. And the same thing kind of goes with our faith, right? If our kids never see us pray, they never see us read the Bible. They never listen. You can become a close. Listen, there's nothing wrong going in your closet and spend time in prayer and read the Bible, but your kids need to see that in you. You can. So many people. I always love this. So many people raise their kids in church, but not in Jesus.
Mhm.
They take their kids to church. They raise them in church, but the kids have never seen their relationship with Jesus with those parents, and it's so
Yeah.
true, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when we get into fights, I try to, so like, there are times when I do get very like, um, it, on the defense back, because that's natural. We either want to fight or flight. But I try to, sometimes I try to pull away for a minute and rationalize myself, and I pray on it a little bit. Like, Lord, I help my husband have an open mind, but have me help her, help me have an open mind too. Am I being irrational in this moment? Let me think about this. And it's like sometimes anxiety, like if being stuck in my own head, is tough, and that can imprison you, like your own anxieties or your own worries, and you don't want to put your children in the same prison that you're in because
Mhm.
you just have to rationalize with yourself sometimes. Like, am I being rational in this moment and in my thought process?
Yeah. And in Deuteronomy chapter 6, it says, and you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I'm giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children, right?
Mhm.
So faith is taught every day. It's not just something we do at church. We don't just teach them something at church. So I thought we would do something fun.
Mhm.
And it's do you remember do you ever I mean sure you do, your dad, right? Watch me TV. Remember People's Court?
Oh yeah.
Or the what's that? Is that the old show with the skinny? Is that what it's called? I forget. I think it was called People's Court, right? I thought it'd be funny to put each other on trial
Okay.
and ask each other some questions, right? So, who leaves the lights on?
Both of us.
We do. Do you think? Do you think? I think. Oh man, here we go. I think you leave the lights on way more than I do because I think it frustrates me that you leave the lights on
Yeah,
so
but
much.
sometimes when I'm sitting on the couch and leave for work, I have to go and get up off the couch and turn off the kitchen light because you just left the kitchen to go out the door and you left all the lights on.
Okay, so I'm on my way out the door. So, what about our kids? What kid do you think leaves the lights on the most?
I think they all leave the lights on because none of them turn the lights off.
Yeah, I know. It drives me insane.
Yeah.
Like they really are terrible. Like in the daytime too. Like it drives me insane during the day. I'm like, just open a window, open the shades. Do not turn the lights on during the day. The sun is out, no lights on. Because especially now, electricity. Everybody out there in TV land, YouTube world can tell you, the electric bill is absolutely out of
Mhm.
control. They are making billions of dollars off of us, and nobody cares. It's making us more broke. But it's crazy right now. Turn your lights off. This one, let's see. Who leaves the cabinet? Who leaves the cabinet
I know
doors
you're gonna
open?
blame that on me, but when I'm cooking or I'm putting dishes away, yes, they are open because I'm walking around the kitchen and doing that. But ultimately, I actually I don't like cabinet doors open because there's it's a source of injury. So I don't know why you blame leaving cabinet doors
Because you
open.
always do.
Am I in the kitchen when they're open?
No, I have to go back in and close them. I'm gonna start leaving them open and be like, "Hey, honey, come check out the cabinets."
I don't know. I don't see myself doing that.
I see. I'm just such a great husband that I just close them without complaining. So just me and my humility.
Yeah.
So, but I think I don't really know if any of the kids really have that habit. Caden's really good about it when he gets his drinks.
Mhm.
I don't really think any of the kids have picked that dirty habit off of you.
I agree.
So this one the kids can't do. But and I already know the answer to this one. Who loses their keys all the time?
Me?
Really?
You?
I thought it was me.
Oh, okay. I was just saying me because I
I'm
think you
always
blame
like,
me for
"Where's my
everything.
keys?
No,
Where's
you
my
do lose your
wallet?"
keys all the time. You lose your keys and your wallets. But I said me because I thought you were going to blame me again.
No, listen, I'll take credit
So
where
I just
credit
wanted to
deserves.
see.
Listen, I shut the cabinet
Yeah.
doors, but I definitely lose my keys. I lost my glasses once and they were on top of my head. And I looked forever. I lost my keys in my pocket before.
Oh my gosh. And when he loses something, it is like, you talk about me obsessing. So when you lose something, you constantly will say it out loud. I have to get up and find it to stop you because you go, my wallet, where's my wallet? I lost my
Mhm.
wallet. Where's my wallet? And you'll keep saying it till it's found. So I will jump up and I will find it as fast as I can till you stop repeating the phrase, where's my wallet? What did I do with my wallet? Where's my wallet?
I do. Like it drives me insane. I cannot, because it's usually when I'm about to walk out the door for work. And especially if I'm carrying my gun, I have to have my ID. I gotta have my badge, my ID. So like if I'm gonna bring my firearm out with me, I don't know if we're allowed to say that because we might get banned, but because the world's terrified of that word. But if I'm bringing my firearm with me, then I have to have those things. So it's very important to find my wallet. Plus debit card, driver's license, obviously. But so next question, and I didn't make up these questions. These are questions I found on some like discussion board about marriage and kids. But let's see if we do this one. Who forgets why they walked into a room?
You?
All the time. I walk in here like, why am I in here? Or because I'll get so distracted doing something or doing something else, or like kids will like want me in. I'll like go into a room like this right here, my drink. You know, I know I'm not sponsored, but I love Bucked Up. It is so good. It begins with a B, so make sure everybody heard that. It's got dairy extract in it, which supposedly makes men tougher. No, but I love it. Tastes so good. It's my pre-workout, my creatine, all my good stuff's in here. But like, I'll walk in to make this all the time, and I'll walk into the kitchen to make my creatine or take my supplements, my vitamins, and totally forgot why I walked in there. So yeah, I'm guilty of that one.
Although there have been a handful of times when somebody's asked me for something, and I've gotten up like I'm in the kitchen and you ask me to bring you a drink, and I'll bring you a whole plate of food, and then I'll never bring you a drink.
Well, so you don't typically go into a room and forget. You just forget why I asked you to go into the room. Like, yeah, I'll be like, yesterday I was like hinting at her like crazy. She makes this really awesome queso dip. And I was like, so there's 2 shows when we're really excited about to come out. One's Ted Lasso.
Ryan will never come out and just say what he wants.
No, I'll hint at it. Well, because I don't want to.
I'm so bad at playing this game.
Because I don't want to burden you into having to do something. So I hint at it. And if you do it, then you do it. And if you don't, then nobody
failed. But my mind
failed.
doesn't work like that. Like if I don't know I'm playing a game and you're just going to drop hints, I don't get the clue.
And I will never buy myself something. So like, but I'll never say I want it either. Like,
I hate that.
I know you do, but like, I just can't spend money on myself. I hate it. There's a few things I'll buy for myself. Like I'll buy myself supplements, workouts, like my Apple Watch, my tablets, like stuff that's functional that I feel like betters me. But like, if I want like this shirt, for instance, this shirt, we were at Bass Pro Shop, and this shirt was I really love this shirt. And it was my work's calling me to come in. They're like, please come in for overtime. So I didn't say I want the shirt, but I was like, man, I really like this shirt. And it's on sale too. And she grabs all the racks. She goes, here, she throws it at me. She go get it. So, but
I'll say that. You say, I really like this shirt. And here's the thing, like I'll go shopping, and I'm used to being somebody who shops, and I'm like, oh, I like this, I like that. But it doesn't mean that just because I like it, that I want to bring it home with me. Because if I brought everything that I liked home, then I would be broke. And Brian, if he says, I like something, and I'm like, oh yeah, that is nice. And then we leave the store. He's like, I wish you would have really bought that for me. And
but then we didn't spend the money, which is good.
Yeah. And then I'm like, well, if you wanted it, why didn't you just get it? I'm like, I thought you were just saying you liked it. And I'm like, because like, you know.
I'm going to say that one time on something.
There's a difference between window shopping and shopping.
Yeah. And then listen.
And when you say you like it, but you don't pick it up and put it in the cart, then I just think that you window shopping for it. Or that you're just making a generalized statement. I don't realize you want it because my brain doesn't think like that.
Right. And that's why it's great, because then we actually don't spend a ton of money, because I would be the person who spends money. Like the next question, which is kind of leads right into the next question, is like, who buys unnecessary snacks?
You.
But I don't usually buy them for me. I will buy cherries and ice cream. I do love cherries and ice cream. But like we go out and the kids want. Actually, you've been pretty guilty of this lately too, because you bought Chewy cookies. You bought the what are those little other things you just bought? Those
the Biscoff cookies.
Because
I was making a cake with it. That's why.
Yeah. So like, but we bought them a lot lately. It's a 3rd pack now.
Yeah, because I go to make
coffee ice cream. You bought that recently.
Oh yeah, for Cheston's birthday. That was his birthday gift.
But normally it's me. Normally, the kids want snacks or like gummies. Like Caleb, he loves his gummies, so always buy him gummies. But I'm very guilty of this. And not for myself. I will buy myself cherries and vanilla ice cream. But besides that, mainly
bag of popcorn for me all the time.
And
then I don't open it up, because if I do, I eat the whole bag.
Yeah.
So I have it on the shelf.
We actually have a couple bags now, because she's being
as long as I leave it on the shelf,
stubborn about eating it.
You won't buy it, but now it's piling up.
Next question is, who says 5 more minutes?
Me.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
That's why we're always late. 5 more minutes.
Ugh.
Which parent created the picky eater?
You. by buying all the snacks.
I do.
Yeah.
Because the kids get just spoiled in their stuff. Like they love certain things. They like Kraft mac and cheese, but
Mhm.
this is how spoiled they are now, right? So it can't just be Kraft mac and cheese anymore. It's got to be Super Mario Kraft mac and cheese, which it's not that much more expensive. It's pennies more. But I bought protein-based mac and cheese the other day. It's Kraft, but it has protein into
It tastes different.
Well, it's because it's like peas and it's
Yeah.
some other stuff. It's a little bit better for you. But man, the kids were not having that. First off, it wasn't Mario. Secondly, it did not taste the same. It's not that good. I mean, it's different, but
You
it's
know how many
not
times I make them
crazy
dinner
different.
now and I put it down and they look at it now?
Broccoli. I love broccoli though.
Well, then they look at it now, they say, I don't like that. And I'm like, you guys didn't even taste it yet. And it's because they want.
Well, that habit's about to get broke.
Yeah.
Or yeah, they're about to lose a little weight. So I'm not playing that game. They're not going to be one of those. We're not going to be one of
I
those
grew up
kids.
in a household where we didn't have a lot of snacks growing up. I think you grew up in a household where you did have snacks, right?
50-50. My grandma always had snacks, and she always had taste cakes and oh my goodness, Entenmann's, the chocolate
cake. Oh,
the coffee cake, and the chocolate ring donuts.
Yeah.
Chocolate donuts. But the coffee cake, I had it a couple months ago. It is junk. Doesn't taste anything like it used to taste.
We used to get Entenmann's once in a while when I was younger. A lot of times when I got anything like that, it would be because my mom came home from her women's auxiliary meeting for the firehouse. She used to be a part of that. So she used to come home with the coffee cake because, you know, that was like the extras at the end of the night from the ladies' meeting. And then we would get to eat like the little, like it would be like a half a cake that was left that she would bring home for us. Or sometimes she would make cakes homemade. But for the most part, I recall if I came home from school and I'm like, Mom, I'm hungry, it would be go grab a piece of bread or go grab an orange or an apple. That was the choices, a piece of bread, orange, or apple. And we didn't do like sugary cereals either. It was either plain Cheerios, not even Honey Nut Cheerios, plain Cheerios, plain corn flakes, not the Frosted Flakes, Rice Krispies, or shredded wheat in the big block of shredded wheat. Like it would not even the mini ones. They were so big. It would be like you put one in the bowl and it would take up the whole size of the bowl. And then we would take the sugar and sprinkle it over there. Then you would have to dip down to the bottom of the bowl to get like a scoop of sugar in cereal. But that was the way that we had to make our cereal sweets, by adding orange.
So wait, was it a one big one?
Oh, it was one big block.
So there's truth to Ted Lasso. So the first episode of season 1 of Ted Lasso, he gets, I think it was shredded wheat. It's like these things are like green, like grainy, right?
Yes.
So he's in England, right? He goes from America to England and he pours shredded wheat and it's this giant thing. And he looks at it, he's like, oh, he's trying to figure out how to eat it. And he's,
oh yeah, there's truth to that. I've had that.
Well,
that's what we used to get as a kid, and used to have to break it up with your fork and spoon into
so
it.
that is so cool. So, but in
I didn't know you watched that.
I'm going to show you as soon as we're done. I'm so excited now. But in season 4, so in season 3, he goes back home to be with his son. So he goes back to America. So this is like a couple years later. Now he's asked to go back and coach the women's team. And he goes back and he's got shredded wheat from England and he pours it and he's expecting the big cube and they will switch to the little cubes. And he was like, oh, and I'm like, I felt for him in the moment, but now knowing that was a true thing, I am blown away. I'm so excited in that.
Now I'm going to buy you a box, but it's not.
I don't want
good.
it.
It's not. It's like cardboard.
Why would I want that?
It's not even frosted.
No, but like knowing it's like a thing, I didn't know. I thought it was just something they did for comedic like purposes,
no,
but like
it was a real thing.
And like I felt his sadness in that moment. Like he got the little things and he was like so disappointed. It's like when you go back to something you haven't had. Like in Tennessee, there was this barbecue place and the guy was smoking barbecue since he was 16. And he was, I don't want to say in his 80s or 90s when I was eating from him, like eating at his place. So he's been smoking there for 60, 70, 80 years. And his food was, you could tell this man was a master crafter. Well, he died. The place is closed now. And like, it makes me, I don't even want to go back to this little place called Townsend, Tennessee. I do want to go back, but like knowing that isn't there is so disappointing. And like, I felt that guy's pain, like knowing his little things out there. But, yeah, so like, it's just crazy, like all the things that we do and the different, I know we joke about all this stuff and our kids literally just, as I said, just copy us and they mimic things that we do. And
we copy our parents and it's, yeah.
And they copy the things like, we don't want them to copy. Like when we're driving a car And so one of the things our kids know, red light, green light. And because we'll get to a red light and my daughter will be like, Dad, go. And I'm
We're
like,
like,
we can't
we're at
go.
a
Why
red
can't we
light.
go? And she looks. She'll literally turn her head and look so she can see the traffic light. Like, because it's a red light. And when can we go? When a green light. And then I start going and she goes, it's green. And but like driving a car, I have such bad road rage. Like I get so mad. Not the where I'm gonna jump out and murder somebody, but like where I'm like, you mother pooper. Like I'm not cursing, but like I'm like, I don't know. I feel like my sin nature
Yeah,
is
you
about
probably
to kick
don't
in.
curse because I don't. Yeah.
But at the same time, like there's a few moments where like cursing feels right in that moment, right? Just be honest. And bad driving habits. We don't want our kids to see that in us, right? Procrastination, like where we push stuff off to the last minute. We don't want our kids to procrastinate. We don't want our kids to become those bad habits.
Mhm.
What about like our financial? Like if we're always broke, always don't have money, do we want our kids to constantly like, man, I like, or and the thing is like, do we teach our kids budgeting? Do we teach our kids finance, balancing a checkbook? Really, most people don't do that anymore. Like even we don't really do that anymore. Everything's through through online budgeting stuff now. But like, how many kids can budget it? How many kids can read a clock, an old school clock, not one of these new, just tells you what time it is. An old school, like on the wall, tick 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 clock. What about like, and I always love this. They say dads do this more than but I think you do this just as much as me. Like when dads stand up and they make those noises, like, gotta get up.
Yeah.
But men do exaggerate it more, I think, more than anybody, and that's why men get the guilty rep for it. But like, like that's such a bad habit. And like we get that, like watch my grandpa do it. My dad does it, I do it, especially as I'm getting older. Like losing our phones, or losing anything, and like I said, losing my keys, losing my wallet. My thing that drives me nuts is I cannot remember names. Like I could tell you a Bible story, but if you're like, well, who was that about in the Bible? I can't tell you the name of the
Yeah.
person. Like I could tell you like Oprah. Remember Oprah?
Oprah.
Oprah. It's not Oprah.
Naomi?
We just talked
Naomi
about
and
not Oprah. It's literally Oprah, but
it's
the two letters are
Naomi and I forget the other one.
Orpah.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about that the other day, and I could not remember her name. And you don't know who Orpah is, look it up. But it's a cool Bible story. But we were talking about that, and like I like Saul, Paul, Peter, all the disciples, and like Peter, I'm actually usually pretty good about because I love Peter. He's like say he's my spirit animal, and obviously that's a joke for don't get over spiritual about that. It's just a joke, but I feel like I'm like I put my foot in my mouth a lot, and our coffee addictions or my caffeine addiction. We really want our kids to mimic those things? And what about like when we sing? Some of us sing better than other people, right?
I don't sing. I don't sing very good at all.
She
and I try
sings
not
in
to
she
sing.
sings in one note.
Well, even our kids would be like, "Mommy, don't sing."
Yes, they do. They're like, Mom, no. Or what about when we dance? Like my wife's actually a pretty decent dancer. But you watch me dance, and my kids are probably like, No, Dad, no, you're not dancing. But and it's funny, like when it's harmless, like it's okay, right? But there are also things we definitely don't want to pass on to our kids. And it's hard because in Proverbs it says direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older they will not leave it. And like, what does intentional parenting look like to you? What do you think? Like, what does intentional parenting look like?
Yeah, I mean, parenting is a whole different life. Like we can go to work and we strive our best to do what we can at work. But some days we go in and we're like, I'm just not feeling work today. And maybe we might not put 100% in. But if we don't put 100% into parenting every day and we take those breaks, it's tough because they're a reflection of us. They have their, like, we're setting their stage now for the future. And it's not easy. It's not something that you should take lightly or easy at all. I think that's one of the hardest things in life is being a parent. And while there's a lot of fun in it, there's also a lot of responsibility and seriousness in it because like you're responsible for their livelihood, for their outcome, the way that they treat others, the way that they allow others to treat them. And, just things of that nature. I remember having that conversation with Caden when he had his birthday party and his computer got broke. I said, you do have to forgive your friend, but if you feel like maybe they didn't have their best intentions, that maybe there was some purposeful intent in it, that you don't have to, he's like, okay, I'll apologize to them. That's what he said. And I said, well, you don't owe them an apology because you didn't do anything wrong, but you do have to forgive. And there's a difference between setting up boundaries and forgiving. But it's like we're responsible for teaching our kids that life lessons and how to navigate the life and life in the world and navigate others.
And I think of it like this: like we will go on a vacation with our family. When we go on a
Mhm.
vacation with our family, we will spend time planning that, organizing it,
Mhm.
coming up with our itinerary, budgeting for it so we can afford it, figuring out where we're going to eat. Like Disney World. First time you ever go to Disney World, I've been to Disney World quite a bit. I've been honored to be able to go to Disney as much as I have. But like the first time I went, figured out when I'm going to go, how I'm going to go, what restaurants I want to eat at ahead of time, the hotel room. Like we intentionally, when we're going to Sesame Place tomorrow, we watched YouTube videos about it. Went on Google Maps and looked at the route towards it. Like we have intentionally figured out what we're going to do, how we're
How to
going to pay for
navigate
it,
our way.
navigate our way. How much do we do that to our children? So, like, how much do we set aside and we intentionally plan time to read our Bibles, time to pray? How much do we set aside these things and say, I'm going to intentionally invest into our children in this area? And like, let's look at it like we're not planning on getting a flat tire tomorrow. If that were to happen, obviously that's a situation we would deal with on the way there. Hopefully we don't get a flat tire. But the things that we intentionally plan on, and then there's things that are throw curveballs in our life. Obviously, that's we got to deal with in the moment. But things that we can intentionally do, we can intentionally set and plan in our children's lives. And I think some of the things that we need to try to intentionally place into our children's life, or at least into the path of their life, might be faith. Like I want them to intentionally see what faith is through me. I want them to see what faith is through us, with faith is through our family. And I want them to intentionally see those things. I want them to see prayer. I want them to see what praying looks like. What does it look like to pray? It's not just something we do when we go to church. So it's something we do at home. It's something we do. And like, I remember when we used to, so eating at the dinner table is different for us because I work weird hours. I don't really have a dinner time. My dinner time is breakfast time for people. My lunchtime, everybody's sleeping. My dinner time, everybody's sleeping. For people that don't know, I wake up at 6 o'clock at night. I would come home at 7 o'clock in the morning. I work typically 7:30 at night till 7:30 in the morning. And then I got actually then drive time, obviously. So everybody's going to bed, I'm getting my day started. So it's hard to pray for meals, but when it's time to pray for meals, it's time to pray for meals. Like it's time to thank God. It's time to thank God. Like I need to especially intentionally set aside
Time
to
to
pray
pray.
for my
And
children.
not just pray like in your own room and because because throughout the day I will pray throughout the day. Even when I see struggles coming or I start to get bogged down at work, I take a breath and I pray and I'm like, Holy Spirit, help guide me through this because I cannot do this without you today, or
Mhm.
I cannot. I have so much to do and the end of day is nearing and I'm hitting my timelines and it doesn't look like I'm going to make it right now. And I'm like, so I need your miracles and I need to get through. And usually I actually do get through, despite it looking impossible in the moment. And perhaps that is because I didn't stop and pray.
Mhm.
Um, but the kids don't see me doing that. So if I don't bring prayer to their attention, then they're not going to realize how important that is. So at the end of the day, I do try to do a prayer with the babies, and I do try to encourage the kids to pray throughout the day. But if Kaden comes to me for a worry, I usually say, "Well, pray on it," and ask God. And I say, "Do you want to pray on it together?" And then with the babies, at the end of the day, I usually say, "Thank you, Jesus, for this day." And if you're wondering when is a good time to start praying with your kids and teaching them about God, when it's too young, number one, it's never too young. Number two, if they're old enough, I always say this, if they're old enough to tell you who Spider-Man is, they're old enough to tell you who Jesus is.
Mhm.
Um, so if they're already starting to love Bluey and Spider-Man, I think I've said this before and I'll keep saying this because it's true. If they're old enough to know who Bluey and Spider-Man is, then they certainly are old enough to start introducing them to Jesus if you have not already.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, what about forgiveness? You know, as a married couple, you're going to fight. We're going to fight.
Mhm.
But how often do they see me forgiving her or her forgiving me?
Yeah.
You know, we need to intentionally set aside, like, you know, obviously we need to forgive each other, but they need to see that. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to see us fight. It's obvious when mom and dad fights. Obvious when mom and dad argue.
Yeah.
It's not always obvious when they forgive and they hug and they make up. And it's very important for our kids to not just see us fight, because
But
they
know that we made up
know
in
that
the
we
process.
have
Yeah.
been forgiven and we have extended and grace, forgiveness. They need to see those traits in us. They need to see us hug after the fight. You know, they need to see us holding hands after the fight and loving after the fight and saying, "Hey, mom and dad fought. We were fighting about this earlier, but hey, I realized I was wrong in the moment." It's
Yeah.
you know, admit that to your children.
Yeah, and even when your children do something wrong and your instinct is to yell at them or punish them in the moment because you're frustrated or embarrassed with how they behaved, or you want better for them, and later on you think about it and you're like, maybe I did come off a little bit too harsh. I'm not opposed to going and talking to your child too. Like, look, okay, maybe I may have overreacted a little bit, but I need you to understand that I care about you and I want you to make better decisions, and let's talk about this, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, showing humility is not a bad thing. Hard work. Your kids need to see you work. They need to see your work ethic. Yesterday I was doing the lawn, and the kids are just inside playing the video games, and I'm like, I called my wife, and I was like, send the boys outside. Like, they need to not only see you work, they need to work. These kids are
Yeah.
spoiled. They sit inside playing video games and don't, and you know, they need to work. They need to get outside. I hit something with my lawnmower and it went everywhere. It's like, it was like a bag, or I don't know what it was, but it was all over the place. So I was like, let's go. But not only do they need to see you say, let's go, they need to see you doing the work too. So like, I was out there, we were cutting some weeds, cutting some bushes, and they're out there dragging them, moving them. So like, they need to see your work ethic. You need to intentionally show that to them. Don't just give them something to do. Show them,
Yeah.
you know, that you're not just a person saying, do this, do that. You're the person doing that work too. They need to see you work. You go to work all the time. Go to work, do your job, come home, intentionally show your children your work ethic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we get caught up doing things like, I know at least I do, like it's easier for me just to go into the kitchen and start cooking and cleaning and not include them because I can get it done fast. But in the long run, what I should to be ultimately be doing more, and and I'll get in the practice of doing this a little bit more, is when I go in to cook dinner, inviting them to come in and cook with you and put the, like, now even making sure they empty the dishwasher, and even if I have to,
Which we don't
wait,
have right now. Ours broke.
yeah, ours broke. But then one of the boys probably broke it on purpose. No.
I know. We got to fix it. Actually, it's getting
But
fixed tomorrow.
even when, like, I'll ask them to do the dishes and I won't demand that they do it now. I'll give them the time to do it, but they have to do it. But I won't go in there even if I've waited, a half an hour. Now, if I want it done now, then I'll tell them, go do it now. But like, if I don't need it done in the moment, then I'll say, at some point in time, you guys have to go empty out the dishwasher. Now, if I go in there a half hour later and the dishes is still in the dishwasher, I'm not emptying out because um saying, oh, just be easier if I just empty it out, because I need to get these dishes done. I'll either wait for them to do it, or I'll say that to them, okay, I need you to empty out now because I'm ready to do the dishes. And it's reminding yourself too to put that time into them and be patient with them, because it's so much easier for us to just do the job and get it done. But what's that teaching them? It's not really teaching them much when you do that.
Yeah, and then generosity. Like, generosity is another big thing. Tithing. So I'm very against the whole 10% thing. I know some pastors, some people out there are probably gonna be like, "Oh, it's so wrong. 10%. It's the tithe of the temple." I'm not going to get into it too much, but I think tithing is more about your condition of your heart and giving graciously than it is about a percentage. I do believe that there was a percentage. I believe it's part of the old covenant. I don't believe we're mandated to that, but I do believe we should tithe. I'm very against tithing when it comes to checks, credit cards, debit cards. I like to do cash. I think tithing is something between you and God. I put cash in the plate. That way nobody knows. I never get one of those stupid things at the end of the year, the tax deduction forms. I don't care. I like to do cash. That way nobody knows. It's between me and God. But I want to give my kids the $1, $10, or $20 or $100 bill and let them put that money into the plate. So they can get into the habit of being generous, the habit of tithing, of gifting. So I want to intentionally show my child generosity, show them what generosity is, show them what tithing is. Serving, like I want to go to church and I want to intentionally show my child what serving looks like. I want them to see me serving. Like for instance, the other day we did VBS. You were in preschool. I intentionally placed you in front of our children to, even though it was a disaster,
Traumatic.
for you in some moments, I want them to intentionally see that. And I also want them to intentionally. I intentionally want my child to want to hold my wife's hand in front of my child. I want to hug my wife. I want to love my wife. I want to show them what a loving spouse, what a man of God should look like. I want to intentionally show them that, and I want to put my arm around you with them. I want them to see that I love you. I want them to see how I respect you, see how I, protect you. And I want, especially my sons, I want them to see how to treat a woman. And I also want my daughters to see how a man should treat them, and how a man should act in that area. And I also want them to see me loving my local church. I want them to see that I want to go to church. I want to be around church. I want to be around the people of God. One of the things that we have been struggling at is serving. I really want to start serving. It's like I said, it's hard going to a new church, especially coming from a place where I was teaching and preaching. And I'm definitely called to that area, and I miss it a lot. But I also know it's no new church should just be like, hey, you should come here and start preaching, because I don't know who you are. But it doesn't matter. Like, you just go to church and you serve wherever you need to be served. It's cleaning toilets, you clean the toilet, like whatever it is you do. And then eventually that comes with time. And I miss it a lot. And one day, hopefully down the road, thankfully we just hit, like I said, we just hit 20,000 views on our podcast. So this has just been such a great way just to tell people about Jesus. And, I tell you, I've mentioned this before. If you don't know who Jesus is, he loves you. He died for you. There's forgiveness. We're all messed up. I'm messed up. She's messed up. Every one of us are messed up. None of us are better than anybody else. Well, only thing difference that makes us any different than anybody else is we have faith in what Jesus did for us at the cross. Like, and if you haven't experienced that, Jesus died for you. He died for your sins. Sins are forgiven. Put your faith in him. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing I can do to make, to buy our way into heaven. The price is already paid. The job's already been done. And it's by faith and faith alone. That's all it is. This is why we're doing this. We want you to know about this awesome, awesome man named Jesus. And the verse that I love is Ephesians 5:1-2. It says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you are his dear children. Live a life filled with love. Children imitate us because we're constantly modeling something. We're constantly modeling something. It could be that TV show. It could be that, it could be our parents. It could be a person that raised us. It could be our grandparents. It could be that complete stranger who affected us that one day. And whether we realize it or not, we are mimicking something, and our children are going to model that thing.
Yeah, I remember when I visited Brian at school, there was this little girl there, and I was just blown away that was playing with him in the kitchen area. And I sat there, and she treated me like I was a guest in our house. And I was like, I know how her mom runs that house. Maybe your dad too, because she went to the cabinet. She got the pitcher of iced tea, the iced tea pitcher out. She poured me a glass. She handed me a glass. She made one for Brian. And I said to her, I said, oh, what about you? There was no more cups. There was only the 2 cups. And she said, oh, I already had a lot of iced tea. I'm okay right now. Thank you. Well, I'm not hungry anymore. Thank you. And it was all pretend, but these are the pretend play that she was doing. I could tell that she was taught to serve, and her, I could see her parents. Yeah. I can imagine what kind of host they were, because she played Little Miss Host and she did a tremendous job at it. And I'm like, but ultimately that's real life probably for her.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And children don't need perfect parents. A lot, like I said, we've already exposed some of our junk in this episode, but children don't need perfect parents. What they do need are parents who repent, parents who forgive. They need parents who laugh. They need parents who pray. They need parents who love Jesus, and they need parents who love each other. And 1 Corinthians says, and you should imitate me just as I imitate Christ. And Paul wasn't claiming perfection. He wasn't pointing people. He wasn't pointing people to himself, right? He wasn't saying, I'm a perfect man. He was saying Christ. I imitate him. Be like him. I'm not great. I imitate him. So that's the thing we need to do. Like, we need to imitate Christ. And parents can do the same thing. They can do the same by being willing to apologize. They can be willing to ask forgiveness. And listen, we got to keep growing. We have to keep growing. I will never be good enough. There's always something I can learn. There's always something I can do better at. And we need to show our kids that. Like, I'm not a know-it-all. There's something I always got to do. Like, there's always something else I can learn. And so what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree that like it's your kids grow from you, you grow from your kids, and I wouldn't say that they're um our friends, but we do have to show them that that we have humility and to be humble themselves too. So I definitely think that we should mirror, or like our actions should show them our expectations of them. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be saying, do as I say, not as I do. And I know some parents will say that, and that is true for some aspects. But for the most part, you want to teach your kids through actions.
You do. And like, I'm going to speak from a father role here. Men, raise your kids. Raise your kids to be dangerous. And what I mean by that, raise your kids to be the most peaceful, loving, awesome kids. But if they have to protect, they can protect. If someone's trying to harm, they can protect. Raise your kids. Put your kids in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Put your kids in concealed carry when they turn 18 or 21 in New Jersey. Raise your kids to protect. Raise your kids so they love and they're forgiving and they're gracious. But raise your kids to be dangerous too. Raise your kids that, if somebody does, especially your boys, somebody does try to hurt their wife, somebody does try to hurt their children, hurt their family, that they can protect those people. And I think that's a biblical mandate. We need, as men, we need to be men. Men need to be men. Women need to be women. There are two genders. I know it's going to tick some people off, but that's it. Raise your boys to be boys. Raise your girls to be girls. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's also nothing wrong putting your daughters in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes. That way the boy tries something in college, jack them up. Because I'll tell you one thing, I've gotten messed up by a 99-pound girl who trained a lot longer when I was younger. She was just so good at what she did. And I was a 220-pound football player and big dude, lifting, and she messed me up. This little girl just messed me up. So make it so your kids know how to defend themselves. And being a dad is very important. Be present. It's so easy to go to work. It's so easy to get involved in providing for your family. Don't forget to be there for your family. Discipline your kids. Don't be the dad that lets the mom always be the discipline. You be the disciplinarian. You correct those children. You tell listen, when a mom says something versus dad says something, there's a dad voice and there's a mom voice. And if you haven't experienced a dad voice, I'm sorry. And if you're a mom now and you're married, let your dad do his dad voice.
Yeah.
Your kids need to hear
It's
that
hard
dad
sometimes
voice.
as a mom because naturally we want to protect our children. But if we want to protect our children, we also want them to grow into productive human beings who are good and they're just good people. So as much as it might be hard sometimes, let the dads be dads, because naturally the dad's going to be harder than the mom is. And I'm not saying because Brian doesn't do this, I'm not saying allow them to abuse children, because there's a difference. But allow your husband to have a voice to raise the children too.
Right.
And even when you think they're being too tough, let them be tough. It'll teach them, humility. I think a lot of times when I was younger, my dad might have put his foot down on something, and my mom would turn around and sneak it to us later, like whether it was snacks or whatever it may have been. And even it may have been something silly, like me wearing nail polish at 13 years old. But ultimately, it wasn't about being 13 and not being allowed to wear nail polish. It was being 13 and having respect for what my dad had said. Because does a 13-year-old girl wearing nail polish, does that hurt her? No. Does it hurt anybody else? No. But if my dad said no, then it should have been respect should have been taught.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that I had to say you're phenomenal at. Like, you know, we always pick on each other, but you're really good at that. Like, it's if I say no, typically, and she's like, Dad said no. Even if she and I wasn't aware that maybe she said yes, maybe or she was okay with something, and then maybe I didn't know she said she was okay with something, or maybe something that she didn't realize that I was against or something, and I came in and I said no, we're not doing that. And Brian's like, well, Mom said, and she will come back and be like, well, listen, your dad said no, and like.
And like, I'm sorry, I said yes. I didn't know that Daddy was going to say no, but now you have to, you know. Yeah. And they do let you know. Our toddlers, both. Oh, they let me know. And Olivia, Mom said they'll do that to me too. But Dad said, yeah.
But I'll tell them like I'm sorry, and I understand what you're saying, but it's a no, and then like that's it. Well, I don't understand why it's a no, and it's like, and I will explain it to them. But sometimes they just need to understand that no means no. Like I'm your father. I'm here to protect you. Like. The other day they wanted to go up, or actually today. So my wife went out today to see her dad, and I wanted to surprise her. So I rearranged our bedroom, and we have this carpeting on the stairs. I ripped out the carpeting on the stairs, and I put the new carpet in on the stairs. And they wanted to go up the stairs, and Mom was going to. I told my wife to go up the stairs, with no socks on because she didn't know I did the carpet. So she was going up the stairs and she's stepping on it. She looks down. She's like, "Oh!" What she didn't know is one of the stairs. There's staples. There was this little piece of staple still sticking out. And I had to go get pliers, and I did this now, but I had to rip the little piece of staple I couldn't get out of the stair. And the kids, she wouldn't hit it with her foot, but because their feet are so much smaller, they had a chance of getting it. And I didn't want the kids to go up and down the stairs. So she initially was like, I want the kids to go up the stairs. And I said, no, absolutely not. And you actually did that. You were like, Dad said no. Even though she said yes, Dad said no. And it's because she wasn't aware that there was a staple sticking out of the stair. I was. So, and that's one thing like I appreciate with her is she will support me even when it's against something that maybe she wants.
Yeah, you have to have a united front.
Yeah.
Even if we're at battle with each other and I'm like, seriously, like he's going to make a big deal about this, or even if he thinks seriously she's going to make a big deal about that, you have to have a united front. Although I think I do better at that than you do because, but in all fairness, like with my irrationalities, like with the bat poop or like we're like touching a frog, I'm like, and you're like, let them be kids. And there are times when I'm like, why can't he just let them be kids and do what they want to do? But then I also understand it's about a respect thing. So, yeah.
Yeah. And kids have to know their limits because in that moment, sometimes it's a limit. You're like, oh, it's kind of a silly limit. But like, you have to teach your kids limits in little things. That way, when it gets like you go hiking on a mountain and when I say stop, the word stop, I want my kid to stop because they don't realize there's a ledge on the other side of that hill. And when I say stop, I want the kids to know that means stop. That doesn't mean think about it. Doesn't mean process it. That means stop. That's it. Because in those little things, you teach them obedience. And then when it gets to the big things, they don't go over that ledge. Yeah. And you lose your kid forever. So like that's why it's so important, I think, to intentionally parent.
And they'll throw temper tantrums. I think I've gotten to the point now where when they throw temper tantrums, sometimes I'll say to them, I don't want to hear it. I'm going to walk out of the room. You tell me when you're done. And they're like, we're done. And it actually works out quicker than trying to talk over them or yell at them sometimes or trying to get them to calm down. I've learned because it works so much better. They stop faster than keeping it going or escalating it more, circling it.
And I like making my children come to me. So it's just something I do. When they do something wrong, I say, come to me, and then they'll throw. Sometimes they'll come to me. Sometimes they'll throw themselves on the ground, but I make them come to me. Obviously there's a point to where they won't come to me, and then obviously I have to make them come to me. But most of the time they come to me and I say, what did we do wrong? Because I could sit there and tell you all day long what you did wrong.
And even at 2 and 4 years old, they know. They do.
They explain to me what they did wrong. I threw a toy. I hit your TV. And now I only have to call them to me. They're getting to the point now at 3 and 4 years old to where like today, Brian threw, we got him this Black and Decker, what do they call
Yeah, the
tool
tool
set thing,
place.
right? And he has a level. So or actually it's a 90 degree, but has like this level going into it. And he threw it because he was doing it like a frisbee, frisbee, right? Things that come back to you, frisbee. And he threw it and just
boomerang
hit,
or frisbee?
or boomerang. That's what I was thinking of. Boomerang. I don't know why I was saying the wrong word. Names of things get me all the time. So a boomerang, and he threw it like a boomerang, and he hit the corner of the TV. And he immediately walked over. Dad, I'm sorry. I threw something. I hit the TV. Like he immediately recognized I did wrong, and he came over and and like it's such a good thing. But I said to him, I said, I appreciate you telling me sorry, but are we going to do it again? Like, because we can tell you, I can tell you sorry. Listen, people, I can tell you I'm sorry for cheating on you, and like I said, I never have. But I can say, hey, I'm sorry for cheating on you, and I go sleep. We go sleep with the girl I just apologize for her. Saying sorry is great, but if it's not followed up by action, if you love me, keep my commandments, right? We can have faith in Jesus, but if we have faith in Jesus, then there's change. We don't, our works don't save us, right? But because of our faith, there's a change, right? A change of mind, a change of how we think, change of how we act. When I break my wife's heart, when I say sorry to her, I can say sorry to her, but if I don't change in that process, am I really sorry? Did I really, really regret the things I did, or am I just fluffing a word? And like, I want my children to realize, great, you said sorry, but is there going to be action? Is there going to be change to that? Did you really mean sorry, or are you just saying sorry to say sorry? And the thing is, when you put your faith in Jesus, did you really put your faith in Jesus? Has there been a change? Have you seen? Have you seen anything come out of that? He's our heavenly Father, right? We are His children. I'm His child. You're His child.
And even if it's adults, it's hard to break our bad habits
It
sometimes.
is.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect. I mess up every day. I am probably the worst person to tell you this, but I also know that, when it's time to say sorry, it's time to, man up to, to say it. Like, I messed up, God. I got to do better. And sometimes I'll slip and fall again, and I'll need that forgiveness again. I'll have to say sorry again to my kids. I know they're going to throw a toy again. I know it. And I'm going to love them the same. They're still going to be my child, and I'm still going to forgive them. Just like, like I didn't understand God's love until I had a child. I did not. You don't understand, and even we can't even understand it to the extent that God does it. But I understand His forgiveness a lot more now that I have a child or children than I ever did before I had children, because that forgiveness is like, no matter how much my kid messes up, I still love my child. They're still my child, and who can snatch me out of their hand, out of His hand.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so this episode, I think we got most, be an intentional parent. Intentionally show your kids Jesus. Intentionally show your kids how you walk with Jesus, how you live for Jesus. Don't just take them to church. Don't just raise them in church. Raise them in Jesus, right? Jesus needs to be in your house. The Bible needs to be open in your house. Prayer needs to be in your house. All that stuff needs to be in your house.
It's so easy sometimes to be at home where you're comfortable at to just lose that discipline and that self-control and get frustrated in the moment. And we have to remind ourselves that even though we're at home and we're not in the eye of the public anymore, God still has His eye on us. And is our behavior behind the doors in our own home biblical? And are they honoring of God? And if we could physically see Him and He could physically see us, being there, would we act that way in that moment? If we actually saw His presence in the room, because His presence is always in the room with us. But would you do what you just did with Him sitting right there where you could visibly see Him?
It's so true. And it's like, I always love the statement, and this is to finish it off, is would you ever listen to that in church? Like, for instance, when I was a teenager, I used to love Eminem. So Eminem came out when I was in like 17 years old, and someone said, would you listen to that music at church? But we are the church, right? That's just a building we go to where the church gets together. And it's a very true thing. Like, it's kind of a neat thing. Like, would you ever watch that or listen to, like, would you ever watch 50 Shades of Grey and like go to church and watch 50 Shades of Grey? Why would you ever do that in your home? You are the church. You doing it at home versus you doing it at the building that the church gathers at It's the same thing. And your kids might be sleeping. Maybe they snuck down and they see what you're watching. Are you intentionally being Jesus? Are you intentionally being like Paul said? Who are you imitating? Are you imitating the world? Because you can't be friends with the world and friends with Christ. Who are you imitating? Are you imitating the world or are you imitating Jesus? And who are your kids seeing to imitate? We are going to do a second episode this week because we are an episode behind. So we are going to do a second episode this week, probably Saturday. If not, it'll have to be by Saturday. Because today's Thursday.
Yeah.
So we will be doing something by Saturday. It'll be out hopefully tomorrow. We're going to Sesame Place. Maybe tomorrow night if we get home reasonable, we'll record it tomorrow night, release it Saturday. So Saturday we will have another episode out. I have no idea what's going to be out about. I'm sure we're going to talk about Sesame Place.
I think we talked about. I think we did put a label on.
What did we say?
But I forget, so we have to go back and look.
Well, I guess we're going to have to go back and look because I don't remember. But hopefully it'll be something fun and kooky and but it's been awesome being with you today. This episode actually went a little bit longer than usual. But I am really excited to see what Saturday's going to bring, and we'll let you know about Sesame Place, how awesome or terrible it is. So we'll talk to you all later.
That kid is your fault. Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but your child acts just like you.
Got your attitude, your mouth, your sass. Can't find their shoes, but found my last nerve fast. Those that eyes thinks they run the place, then tells me calm down with your exact face. They're loud, they're wild, they think rules are suggestions, and somehow I'm the one getting questioned. We pray for kids, God said okay, bet. Now we're raising tiny versions of our biggest regrets.
Honey, I don't know how to tell you this.
That child is 50%, you and 100% your problem.
Don't blame me. I tried to warn you about your genetics. Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but your child acts just like you.